my dad was younger, in his 20s, he lived in Alberta. He worked on oil rigs in Alberta. And in that time in Alberta, whatever he got up to, I don't quite know his story, but for a long time, he was a cowboy. Rode out on the plains. And I think he really found himself there. I think he felt free there. I think if he could have had his choice, his life would have been just him and his horse, and like a can of beans or whatever. I don't know what cowboys do. Lassoing lizards or something. But that was before I knew. And then, growing up, whenever there were special events, this is how my dad used to dress. This is how he thought, like if it was a wedding or a funeral or something, this is how my dad thought respectable adults should dress. This is what my dad's outfit would be like. On his feet, he would have his prized cowboy boots. These leather-skin cowboy boots that were too small for him. On his legs, the nicest pair of jeans he owned. On his body, his upper body, the nicest pair of jeans that he owned. He'd have a denim shirt on. There's a waterfall of denim, this guy. And around his neck, he had a bola tied. You know what a bola tie? It's like a string around somebody's neck, and it's got like a piece of bone or something to connect it, and you kind of, it's like just a fancy string, basically. And I used to love seeing that tie. I used to love seeing this outfit because I loved seeing my dad at parties because he was great at parties. He was so good. He was so charming, and he was like really funny, and he had a lot of gravitas, and he'd light up the room, and he would dance like a francophone usher. Like he had a lot of moves, Like he's rolling some logs down a river to your heart. And so I loved seeing him like that because he was beautiful and he was free. But unfortunately, that was only a special event dad. Normally during my life, my memory of my dad was a little different because my dad is a drug addict. He's addicted to cocaine. Yeah, and not even like doing it the fun sniffy way. He like shoots it up and stuff. And so my main memory of my dad, the everyday, is that throughout high school, I'd get home from school, my dad would be asleep on the couch, just in his long johns, and his dirty t-shirt. It's like juice boxes that should have been for us on the table, cigarette butts, joint roaches. It's like, not so much like my dad was there, but just like a weird drifter was camping in our living room. It's kind of what it looked like. And it was terrifying. Because if we woke up my dad, he'd fucking storm. And he'd go crazy. And he'd yell at me and my brothers in like this really mean kind of way. He'd beat us down. He'd berate us into nothing. Like he'd want to make us feel as small as I imagine he felt on the inside. And so my brothers and I would just sneak around all the time, just living in this constant fear of this lump on the couch, just this fucking gross mustard-covered lump. And the only thing that would be worse, if we didn't wake him up, would be when my mom got home from work, because my mom was trying to keep herself and her family together. She worked so hard. She'd get home, and inevitably she'd wake him up, and they would get into a huge fight, just like screaming at each other, normally about money. It's just awful, right? So this is like every day for my teen years. Just violence, anger, yelling, fear. So much fear. And I don't know if anyone's in this scenario as well, but it's so hard because you take two things from it. You take shame, and when that shame comes in, you learn very quickly that the best thing to do is to pretend everything is okay. And so you just get very good at pretending everything is okay. And so now my emotions are fucked because I'm like super good at pretending everything's okay, but I can't deal with anything because I've just been repressing and trying to be like everything's okay. And the other thing that you learn, because I can remember feeling so powerless. And I wanted to change something. I wanted to wake him up and shake him, you know? Wanted to so bad. I was so scared and I could never do it. And that powerlessness, that impotency, becomes rage. And it turns in on you. And so now I live with this rage. It's kind of, it's directed at myself. And so eventually I left home and I went to school. And I never really forget him because I still can't stay too mad at him because I still live with that rage. And I also, I struggle with my own kind of problems with marijuana, which nobody really cares about if you smoke too much marijuana. That's the hardest part about cutting down on marijuana. Everyone's like, oh, you smoke too much marijuana? That's complaining about never making your bed. Like, it's fine. But so I get how hard it was for him, I have so much, I have all this weird empathy for him, and it's very difficult to deal with because I get how hard it is because, if you try to give up the thing you like a lot, a drug or whatever, what no one warns you about is that nothing is as good as that drug, which kind of sucks, So I get where he's coming from. Then one day, I went home this holiday. I went home for Christmas. And I kind of see my dad around, but it's rare now. And but my brother, he still lives at home. My dad lives in a variety of places, motels and things like that. And but my brother has to deal with him all the time. And my brother will hire him to work on different jobs, and he'll do things like my brother will pay him. My dad will go off for drugs and never come back. And so my brother's been very hurt by him. My brother describes it as the way my brother deals with it is he says that my dad is basically already dead, and it's kind of like a ghost haunting us. And we're hanging out, my brother and I, in our garage, and we look up, and who's coming down the driveway but my dad? And he looks like a ghost now. He's gaunt, he's pale, and he comes up and he's all shifty and weird. But he came to give us gifts. And he's never been great at gifts. His gifts have always really stretched the limits of it's the thought that counts. Right? They've been pretty bad. A dirt bike that doesn't work, that's kind of his move. My brother just recently had a baby, and he brought a bunch of clothes for the baby boy, most of which were girl clothes. And then he gave us a weird rubber ball that was half inflated that he said was an old antique, but it had a barcode on it, which I don't think antiques have barcodes. I don't think. And what he gave me was this box of Brute cologne, Brute cologne and aftershave, this weird box of it. I don't know if you can tell anything by looking at me, but obviously I'm not a Brute guy. It's not really my smell. My smell is more fear. And so I left the cologne at home, the whole box at home. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with him. And then I came back home 2 months later, and my mom was like, "Oh, your brother opened up that box of cologne because he is a Brute guy." and he had found something in the bottom of the box, and my dad had given me this. He had given me, yeah. This is the bowler tie. This is the thing. And he had tucked that back in there. And I can't help but to think that it was his way of trying to say, like, I'm still here, you know? And that the guy that was out there on the plains riding is there. And so I wear this and I keep it around to know that even if he couldn't do it, he tried his best, and I hope to do the same with the people that I love. Thank you guys. This was really fun. Thank you so much.